and let us all do we can to build a better future.
What is going on with you?
Yeah, so this is now we're moving from the one aspect where we're talking about the actual trial, and now we're moving over to the just absurd and really pathetic police overreach that has been going on in this entire process, calling in the National Guard. And just to sum up the feeling of what we see with these major cities, it's always boils down to those black people are just going to destroy everything, so we better get in guys with guns to deal with it because we're really dumb and don't know how else to deal with these problems. We don't know how to reform anything, blah, 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 blah. And so Ilhan Omar is now going to be sort of the lens in which we talk about this because she's at least speaking on this, and I appreciate that she's doing this. And again, as we know at Heartlands, we call out people when they do bad. So when Ilhan Omar does a bad thing, we're going to call it out. But when she does something that's reasonable, we're gonna quote it. So Ilhan Omar accused two Minnesota Democrats, Governor Jim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, of putting the metropolitan area surrounding by opposition parties under military occupation. This is a huge deal, by the way. They have been waiting, and just it's like what do freedoms matter in America anymore when just the idea of this trial happening without even being considered. They don't even know it's going to happen. It turned out not to happen. It turned out not to be needed. Doesn't matter. Just send in people with large guns to deal with the situation that might or might not happen. That doesn't seem like a response. That really does seem like an occupation, which if you're for any amendment, something you shouldn't be for in America. So she aimed on Saturday at Operation Safety Net, a public security response created to address potential anxieties, it's a nice way of putting it, from the Derek Chauvin trial in Minneapolis, Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Governor Jim Walz and Mayor Frey have put us under military occupation, she tweeted. It's not freedom in America where there's no riots happening. They're just like, again, bring in the military. That seems like what our constitutional... Yeah, it's very much. Anyway, so Operation Safety Nets cannot operate to violate the rights of the First Amendment of the people and the freedoms of citizens. Yeah, I'd really like to see more people on all sides point out that we have a constitution that we're supposed to abide by, and people are supposed to be allowed to protest, and you shouldn't be viewing people as guilty until proven innocent. That's the UK system, not America. If you want to go do something else, go to North Korea, go to England, go somewhere else. They terrorize those protesting the atrocities of state-approved violence. Stop it. And this also comes in with hundreds of arrests, rubber bullets. I mean, the police have been rioting pretty hard over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I'm really proud of the regular, just regular civilian protesters keeping such a cool under such... Because, I mean, what we were talking about, like 400 injuries by police. I mean, can you imagine on CNN the headline if Black Lives Matter injured 400 people, it would be completely different.
If there are 400 cops, yeah.
Yeah, and so her tweet was posted shortly before the 7th consecutive day of protest. Police arrested only one person on Saturday, but authorities arrested 136 people the night before the protests and threw things and violated defenses around the Brooklyn Center. It's again, they're creating an army situation where I don't know if you've ever read history, but any time in history where any town watch or anything imposes themselves and then of course starts using weapons, and then people are like, why are they acting so violent? I don't understand it. It's so crazy. It's like not like the police. Oh right, no, the police did shoot them with rubber bullets. Police use gas that you're not allowed to use in warfare. And again, the police have sort of this issue of not being trusted for doing these things. So I think it's completely right to call out the police for the violence and overreach of their constitutional norms that they should be doing. And what are they doing all this for? To protect insured buildings that might be damaged, that usually aren't? I don't know. What do you guys think?
All right. Well, the thing is, we're seeing a lot of escalation of force that's being built up. I mean, it's not only in Minneapolis, but here in Chicago, again, before the verdict did come out, but Governor J.B. Pritzker with a few city officials here in Chicago, the state will send 125 members of the Illinois National Guard to Chicago on Tuesday in the anticipation of the verdict for the Derek Chauvin trial. And the guardsmen were activated and being sent at the request of Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the progressive champion, as we all know. Governor J.B. Pritzker of the state of Illinois said in its state news release, the guardsmen and women will help with street closures and will not interfere with protests, much the same role as the guard members played during the previous deployments. So again, it's really depressing to see that the that the city is actually, trying to ramp up with more military presence. I'll never forget during the height of the George Floyd protests where we saw military Humvees and other military vehicles from the National Guard blocking different roads, and the bridges were raised up. But also, by the way, Dan,
the act of a king.
It is the act of a king, and also heartless Democratic lawmakers, because Mayor Lori Lightfoot did run on a lot of reform. I don't know what's happening in Minneapolis with their mayor or their elected officials. I mean, hell, that's the same state where Amy Klobuchar is there. But Daniel, this is actually breaking news, and it might be a little bit off subject, but again, this shows really the heartlessness of our Democratic lawmakers, and our people in the live stream chat also brought this up on how Democratic lawmakers, especially on Rockfin, said like how the Democrats are right now out there celebrating and they don't give a crap because the vote blue no matter who crowd is at brunch. Case in point, remind me, Daniel, Jerry, I don't want a yes or no answer from both of you. Direct yes or no answer. The 15 congressmen and women that are on the forced to vote petition, they voted for Nancy to be the next Speaker of the House again, right?
Yep.
That's a yes from Jerry? Daniel? So that's a yes?
Here's what they voted for.
Okay, hold on. Speaker Pelosi. Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice. Because of you and because of millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice. Yeah, because George Floyd woke up one morning and said, that's right, I'm ready to die today because of police brutality. I'm here
to make Nancy
and just so that Daniel
rating.
could see this, because I showed this to Jerry. That's her. That's our girl. Old hag bag Nancy saying that.
But we feed them, kid. We feed them.
Nancy Pelosi is literally going, I'm going to take his dead body and slap a vote for Nancy sticker on it.
Yep.
Nancy, you're still going to lose seats in the next election. They're likely going to take the House. Congratulations on your failed policy. You're still a failure.
Do they make Scotch ice cream or just butterscotch?
I don't know.
She's either nipping into the Scotch ice cream or nipping into the Scotch again.
Or both.
Who knows? But go ahead, Jerry. Let's get your commentary on this. And by the way, before our viewing audience, before we get to you, again, to our viewing audience, this is something that Nancy Pelosi just said 33 minutes ago. It is out there. And on Twitter. It's out there. So go ahead, Jerry.
This kind of relates to something I posted on my Facebook last night. It's a meme. I wish I'd known about this to give it to Faze, but the first part of the meme is an image of a car burning and protesters with the quote, "Why can't you protest peacefully?" The second picture is Colin Kaepernick on his knees with the caption, "No, not like that."
Yeah.
A gentleman in a t-shirt, "I can't breathe." No, not like that. Another picture of peaceful protesters with signs, "No, not like that." This is why.
And then on top of that,
that's what they're mobilizing. They don't want peaceful when people do protest peacefully, but they're not being heard. That's why the violence erupts. And I'm not condoning that kind of violence. But when you are constantly telling people that's not the way to protest, we don't want you to protest violently, but when you happen to express your conscience, if you're going to take a knee or wear a t-shirt or march down the street with signs protesting the violence that's going on, and they're constantly hearing, "No, not like that," then what? How? What's the right way to protest all this stuff?
The only thing that would add an even bigger cherry on top of the kind of the beauty of that statement I'll put together is if it was like, oh no, this photo is actually from the Super Bowl riot or something like that.
That's true too. Yeah,
because whenever that happens, it's okay, and they're just celebrating,
turning over cars and setting
a little property damage. Don't worry about it. The team won. They're celebrating.
That's different.
So if you're celebrating a sport that has no real bearing on the effect of the country, that's fine. But if you're protesting and a car catches on fire trying to fight for rights that people have been fighting for generations, then don't do it. It's a bad idea.
It's priorities.
We need to get the police here.
That's the problem. It's priorities.
It's what always kind of disturbs me is just how quickly the cities are militarized and then how quickly the National Guard is deployed out. But even then, let's just take a step away from the George Floyd trial. We still have the situation with Adam Toledo and what happened. And when we were covering, we did 3 live streams on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in regards towards the video that was going to be made public and how Mayor Lightfoot tiptoed around that entire question about, well, wait, did he point a gun at the police officers? We all saw the video. His hands are up in the air, and then he was fired at. And the thing is, what was the city's response? On the day, very suspiciously, the bridges were going to be raised up, or at least one of the bridges were going to be raised up because they had to do a testing for a boat show, which again is very suspicious.
Right, all those boat shows happening in the pandemic all the time, every day.
Yeah.
And afterwards, their response was to start tearing down the neighborhood memorials.
Yes, exactly.
As broke on Reddit that we talked about the other night.
Yeah, and we all saw it. So
I see cops picking up litter from corners. They've got to pick up the candles and the photographs of this young man and dispose of them like garbage. Yeah. It's unconscionable.
Yeah, well, remember this is they cover and they've solved 100% of murders and other crimes. I mean 25%, so they have the time for that.
Exactly.